explain what I'm going to say here in a minute. It's just another great day to be a Lions fan. We got Wayne Keene in the chat. I read what they wrote and I was like, wait a minute, something's off. And I'll explain it shortly. Oh, it's just another great day. It is time to get on with the show.
Charles here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Meat Body by Jeremy Smokkin.
Orlando Escobar Jr., yes. Lions pulled a Brad Holmes on Brad Holmes and gave him a prove it deal. You're absolutely right. I'm going to explain that because I remember when all of these people were hired. Chris Spielman was the first one hired with a 4 year. So he only had 1 year left on his contract as assistant to Sheila Ford Hamp and Rod Wood as vice president of operations. Dan Campbell was the next one hired and was given a 6 year contract, which automatically had him through the 2027 season. Brad Holmes was given a 5 year contract, which had him through the 2026 season. That means Brad Holmes and Chris Spielman was extended to match up with how long Dan Campbell is here. It really isn't an extension for Dan Campbell. I've been trying to explain that. I even said, look right here. It says he was given a 6 year deal right when he was signed. So I'm glad they got the whole crew going to be together for that entire time. It makes a lot more sense. I like being real. I was like, wait a minute, something's off because we already had Dan Campbell through the 2027 season. You can't extend somebody with say it's an extension for him when he's already here for that long. Because the 2027 season is technically starts in 2026 and ends in 2027. That's how that works. But yes, Fred Peterson, good morning. It's a great day to be a whatever a Luon is. Yes. And I'm sure maybe that's what they did with Dan was give him a little more money. But in all actuality, whether they did or not, I just know that's right. And a Luon, that's because set up my show at 6:30 in the morning, half asleep. Typos, they happen. Even those of us that are in journalism have typos. At least I'm grammatically correct. So let's talk about our 3 free agent signings because that's all we got right now. And then I'll get into DJ Reader coming here today because he flew in actually last night. So he's here to go to Allen Park today and talk with Dan and Brad and everybody else. But Carlton Davis is a good, not great corner. Solid in every sense of the word. I actually like Amik Robertson a little bit better. But when you go back and watch that Super Bowl game, guess who Carlton Davis was on due to injury? He was on Tyreek Hill. Remember? They held the Kansas City Chiefs as the 2nd team in the history of the franchise with Patrick Mahomes to 0 touchdowns. There was only one other team that did that. And unfortunately, it was the Matt Patricia ran Detroit Lions. And yes, he's had a couple injuries here and there, and he struggled. That's a Brad Holmes deal, traded for an injury-prone player. He does that. He did it with Trinity Benson. Now he's done it with Carlton Davis. He's still better than what we have on the roster. Amik Robertson, I like him because he's been solid. He hasn't really been injured. He's been a great nickel, sometimes CB2 due to injury for Oakland Raiders, but he's not a CB2. So my thinking is, oh, CJ and what he said, it's a total dick move because you know what he said about the fans here? He said the same thing about the Philly fans when he got here. That guy just likes to talk crap and not back it up because he has that Chihuahua syndrome. He writes checks his ass can't cash. And he did it to get us salty. He did it to start us spark something. That's what he does. He's a controversy starter, not a finisher. So when I get some more details, I'll let you know if it was a pay raise or not for them. RJ Irving, good morning, brother. I just like to keep things real. Now, DJ Reader didn't get his extension yesterday with the Bengals. They signed Sheldon Rankins and said, I'm more salty about that because I was hoping they were going to sign DJ Reader and we'd end up with Rankins. But the fact they didn't do it after talking to him means there's something with his medicals. I don't think he's going to be back right away. And that looks like a Brad Holmes signing all day. Be able to get him on a cheap prove it deal. I bet you it's around 8 million. Is he better than what we have on our roster? He's better than everybody but Lee McNeil when he's healthy. That's no bullshit. When he's on the field, he plays 2 quad injuries is not great. Absolutely. But this one, it's just one quad that's injured this year. He had another one a couple of years ago. Those are significant injury with lots of rehab time. Absolutely. Um, one of my Bengals friends that told me what because he's close to all the news with that organization, it might not be till November or December before he can take a snap. Right, that's exactly where I'm going at is undone. He's just now starting to walk without his crutches. That's not a good sign for me because the guy has some. Yeah, but RJ, if he can't play till November, December, and it doesn't help us, and we're relying on Broderick Martin's development, Burrito Benito Jones, who's wrapped up like a hot tortilla in one-on-one blocking packages, and Quentin Bohanna, who had more. He actually had just as many impactful plays in the short time he was here as Benito Jones had all season. I don't see good things for the D line. We're going to need somebody. We're going to need a dog, somebody that can start the season out and replace those guys right away. I'm hoping it's Broderick Martin with his development, but we already seen AJ doesn't like to play people to let them develop, and that's the best way to develop a young guy. Big Dan Davis, he's a big dude. Coming off that quad injury at about 30 years old. That's not a good sign. I doubt it, but I hope we can convince Armstead to come here. That's who I want. Out of what's left out there, Armstead is the guy that would make more sense. If you're going to sign an over 30-year-old guy, sign somebody that stays healthy at least. Armstead had some injuries early in his career, but he's really been healthy the last few seasons and been a big reason for San Francisco 49ers defense success. I mean, think about it. They're without Kinlaw and Armstead. That's a huge loss for that defensive line. And Armstead can line up at edge too, very flexible. Yes, that's that versatility that we like to sign on the defensive line. Say what you want. The guys that they usually sign or draft are versatile. And that's why I'm leaning more Armstead than Reader myself. And Armstead would make immediate impact. That's my point, RJ. Just like Sheldon Rankins, he's not flexible. He is a true DT2 in a four-man front because he's a converted nose tackle. And James Houston is back. We did tender him. So, yes, he's back. Armstead also drew interest from the Bengals and one other team. Bengals are probably out now, so maybe we have a chance at Armstead now. Absolutely. Because think about it this way. I don't think at this point in his career Armstead's looking for a bag. He might be looking for a ring. Oh, there's lots of pay cuts. Kaminsky wanted to stay and not save the team 5 million, so he restructured his contract to clear 2.5. Absolutely. He wants to be here. He wants to play. He wants to prove he was better than last year. And I think that injury at the end of the previous season carried over into this year, and it affected how he played because he looked like a totally different player. Armstead is still getting a little money from the 49ers too, what was left on his guaranteed contract. They just couldn't have they tried to restructure him and he wouldn't agree to it, so they made said, "Okay, you can bounce." They didn't even try to trade him. They said, "Fine, bounce." Oh, yeah, I know. We're down to 27 million, I think, maybe even 25, because we have some tendered free agents that have their rookie contracts that we brought back, like Houston and a couple of others. So, we don't have as much as everybody thinks. We were at 33 the other day and we made a signing. That was a 4.5 million deal if you split it down the middle. I'm quite sure it's closer to a 3 and a $6 million deal is what it is for Amik Robertson. And I'm okay with it because we just saw a nickel guy and Kenny Moore get 10 million a year as the highest paid. Right. That's the earliest he could come back from his injury is game 6. What I'm saying is my buddies close to the Bengals said it might be later than that. The deadline to get under the cap is the start of the season, week 1. Kenny is like the top nickel guy money wise. Yes, and he is the top nickel guy. I get it. Remember, we signed a top nickel guy back in the day under the Patricia regime. All right, Fred, you have a good day at work. How? We can't afford Snead. Snead wants a bag. I look so lonely. Aw, thanks, Leonard, for noticing. Oh, there will be casualties, but I don't think they're going to let anybody walk that's off their top because cutting them costs them more money than trading them. They're going to try to trade those guys. And if no trades are made before the draft, after the draft, you'll see some cuts because that's when the dead cap goes down, right about June 1st, just before camp start. You got to be real. They can't afford to cut a lot of, they're trying to shop people now because they can't afford to cut them. It's cheaper to trade them. It depends on how the contracts are worded and spelled out. Some people save more money by trading, some people save more by cutting. It's all in the guaranteed money type stuff. I don't know how it's calculated exactly, but I do understand what it is. Carlton has one more year. Do you think an extension is on the horizon? Keegan, I would love it if we extended him now, and there's a reason for that. He has a $14.5 million cap hit right now. We could actually clear up probably 3 to 4 million of that just by restructuring it into a 2-year deal. And I think that You can't trade Sutton until after June 1st. That's when it clears cap. It doesn't clear cap before then. It costs $5 million to get rid of Sutton. It's undone. I've been trying to tell you that. You can't trade Sutton until next year, technically. Because at the end of the day, after June 1st, if you trade Sutton, it still costs you $2 million. Oh, they got Mac to restructure. King SJ, good morning, JB. Good to see everybody here. 32 people watching and 3 likes. Smash that button, people. We're live in my channel, Football Talk 365. Is undone. Yeah, remember Sutton played half a year hurt. He had a hurt foot. And he wasn't bad at the first half of the season. Go look at their PFF by game. I think it was the Chicago game when he hurt his foot when he went out for a little bit. And that's when we had to bring Vildor in. Not at the beginning of the year, he wasn't. I'll disagree with you. Yeah, Sutton was always one of our top 10 defenders in the beginning of the year. Okuda had 6 good games while the rest of the defense was trash because we played a scheme that fit him. We were playing press man zone. But guess what happened as soon as we went to zone like we play now? He was absolute garbage. But we played man so long and AO got butt hurt mentally because Okuda, yeah, he got his walking papers from the Falcons almost as fast as we let him go. Is Josh Reynolds coming back? Nope. All that was fake news last night. He's a free agent. I hope he don't. I care less how clutch he was throughout the season. I was going over Dan Leonard, quit your lying and blasphemy. Oh, how fake news I was duped. Yeah, it was fake news. The guy that posted that on Twitter has 26 followers. How does he work for ESPN? I don't see Brad Holmes getting a first round CB. What do you think? I think he might if the right one falls to him. I think there's only a couple in that first grouping that he'd probably want. The guy I absolutely do not want, and I don't care what anybody says, I don't care what his RAS says, it's Ennis Rakestraw. The kid is the most overrated corner coming out of college. I watched the game film. He gets more burnt than Eli Apple. And I mean Eli Apple as a worthy. He's not a first round pick to me. Yeah, that Twitter post about Reynolds resigning was as fake as implants. I love it. Lions trying to bring back Lucas per report. I don't they could have had him cheaper by just bringing him back under his tender. I don't think they're going to bring him back. If you want to get somebody that's almost as fast as him and way better hands, I'd rather have a Donnie Mitchell. Yeah, the ESPN guy that he quoted doesn't even exist. I think Worthy's going to be a bum. I think he's going to be the next John Ross. Why do I have a feeling Fields could be heading to the Eagles? Okay, then Adonai Mitchell, let's go. And you're absolutely right. I think the one that makes the most sense at the back end of the draft, I don't see JPJ following there, so I'm thinking it's Graham Barton or Cooper Beebe. And if Brad does, I want it to be Adonai Mitchell. He's a little taller. He's not quite as fast. I understand that, but I like Adonai Mitchell better. Give me a 1.7% drop rate in college with a guy like Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning threw to him. Both of those guys have really strong arms, stronger than Goff. Just saying. He's just on his way here. I Mitchell has similar RAS to Sharp, I believe. Yes, he does. Um, Here's what I heard, and that why they're probably not getting rid of Fields. And for me, uh, I'm going to speak as though I'm a Bears GM right now. When they drafted Justin Fields, what did they hear about Justin Fields from all the draft prognosticators across the board? He's a generational talent. We've never seen a guy with an arm like his and that running ability. What are you hearing this year about Caleb Williams? He's a generational talent. We haven't seen this type of arm strength and running ability. They're the exact same player. Unless they fix the team around Fields, and then if it doesn't work, draft somebody else next year, they're never going to get better. Sorry, guys. Yep. You're absolutely right, Keegan. All of the guys we didn't bring back won't come back. We need more depth, but it sounds like Holmes wants to do it in the draft. Absolutely. He said it. He told us this just before the combine. He goes, I do what I do. I plug a few holes in free agency, but I build this team and the depth through the draft. He actually said the words. So if you're looking for a flashy signing, don't count on it. That was his exact words. Right. Absolutely. Brent Bears have been doing all this stuff, but I'm not afraid of them. Takes more than good players. They've got a good defense. It's a well coached defense. Their offense has been trash. And that's none of my business. I heard that the best trade offer they've had for Fields has been a third or fourth rounder. I don't think they're letting him go for that. But DJ Reader losing 92 is messed up by draft simulator so bad. I even people sit there. Wait, we all thought it was 73 to begin with. I think it's a better thing that we lost 92 because at 73, I think he goes at the top of the second round. Lots of good players left in third. There's always lots of good players left in the third. That's what everybody forgets. But there's better players at 73 than there is at 92. And because of the bag that Jonah Jackson got, we get two comp picks for him next year. Let's go. We're going to get either a third and a fourth or a third and a fifth because he got a bag from Los Angeles. Because remember, it all goes on where they go, if they're going to be a starter, and how much money they get. Mike Williams is going for a bag. He doesn't want to be cheap. That's why the Chargers cut him. They tried to restructure him to make him cheap, and he said, "Hell no." Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, I don't do the homer thing. Told you this. I'd rather get the Western Michigan kid, Marshawn Nealon. I think he's better than all the DNs that are in the draft out of Michigan. Michael Thomas, slant boy, he can't stay on the field at all. He's been more injured than DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, and everything else. I'm out on Michael Thomas. Mike Williams, he misses 4 to 7 games a year every year. No chip chasers. Everyone's getting the bag. You don't know that yet because there's lots of people that haven't been signed yet. Wait a minute. Right now, Reader is dealing with Michigan weather. Do you think that comes into effect? Ohio weather is about the exact same thing as Michigan weather. I don't get you, but nope. Jonah Jackson's offensive guard. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with that position. We didn't sign a free agent at the position. We re-signed a guy that was already on the roster next to him. So, in all actuality, it has no impact on the comp picks for next year because those comp picks won't come until the 2025 draft when we have to go to the frozen tundra to see it. Uh, they still got Matt Stafford, and he's a bunch of he's turning slowly into a China dial. I don't know. Right. The only time he'll be in cold weather is either Chicago or Green Bay in the division. That's it. 2 games a year, and whoever else we play if they're in a cold weather place. Our home games are indoors, and we have 9 home games this year. Weather won't play a factor. But DJ Reader not passing his physicals with the Bengals. No, it has to do with that exact position always. Yeah, Jonah will do well, but it doesn't mean the team will do well. They'll probably get to the playoffs and lose in the first round again because Matt Stafford doesn't have what he had. There's something wrong with Stafford. I watched that game. He did not look like Stafford. There wasn't the same zip on the ball you always saw, even on his deep ball. There's something going on with Stafford. It's Chicago that was considering building a dome in the near future because of the property they bought in Arlington Heights. Ooh. Non-Lions news, but there are 2 ongoing investigations on going on into Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott for sexual assault that happened at a strip club in 2017. Oh, I'm 100% a Goff over Stafford guy because of his decision making. Stafford, because he had a bullet for so long and didn't develop touch until after Calvin Johnson finally gave up, is why Johnson gave up. He was breaking the dude's hands. Guy had hands like glue. Unfortunately, he threw it like a bullet, whether it was 5 yards or 50 yards. Stafford didn't have a touch pass until 2019. That was the first time I saw it. I was like, hey, he developed touch pass. That's nice. It'll be great when he's gone. Yet Stafford is still more of a gunslinger and still less of a cerebral quarterback. I understand he's thrown to record breakers. He did that here. Uh, no, 100% Brent Stafford has way more arm talent than that. He had the sidearm, the three-quarter throw, the shuffle pass. everything that Goff doesn't do good because he doesn't have the arm strength for it. In a deep ball. Quentin Jefferson, defensive tackle, signs at the Browns. Oh, you're gonna make me get out my phone? All right. Oh, I already saw that. We talked about that first thing this morning. CJGJ is a seedy douche. Have a great day, Brent. Did you remember he said the same thing pretty much about Philly fans when he got here? Now he says it about us. We embraced him. He asked us to wear hooded masks. Like idiots, we all fell in line. Thank God I never bought one. I disagree with you, Fred. I I I got tired of the fourth quarter interceptions, specifically fourth quarter pick sixes. Yeah, CD douche. I ate a poppy seed bagel yesterday, so I had to drop one just before the show. Oh no, you're absolutely right, Ken Fisher. He is a thug and a dirty player, and he does it in a dirty way that's kind of cheap and doesn't really do anything to hurt the other team. Just like that big stop he made when he hit Kenneth Walker to stop him 5 yards behind the line for the best third down stop in that first half. What does he do? Kenneth Walker goes to get up. He shoves him back down. 15-yard penalty. They score a touchdown on the next play. Fast forward to the NFC Championship game. Interception. Running it back. Get us in scoring position right off the rip. We were at the 29-yard line. That scoring position, whether you got Goff or you got Stafford. He didn't blow up Debo. He chipped him. He didn't blow him up. That wasn't even a blow up. If he blew him up, Debo would have been hurt. That was the cheapest shot I ever seen. It was a cheap shot. He didn't blow him up. Because guess what happened? If he'd have blown him up, Debo wouldn't have blown by him the whole game. And I'm glad CJGJ is gone too. He got paid. He's money chasing. He can say he's chasing a ship. Oh, it was a cheap shot, but he didn't blow him up. Right. Oh, I love it when they don't back up. It was a cheap shot. It was a cheap and dirty shot that wasn't dirty enough. If that motherfucker would have hit him to where it hurt him and actually did something, Goff isn't getting an extension. You're the one that told us about what Risden said. But St. Brown, it's being worked out on length. That's it. We got all year on St. Brown. We technically got all year on Goff. But the word is, if it wasn't done by free agency, it isn't getting done. Who's our swag leader on D now? Probably Brian Branch. He's got that swag. He does talk shit. We've seen him do it. I think he's our swag leader in that defensive backfield now. And with him gone and Tracy Walker gone, I think Branch is going to end up being our starting safety and splitting time with Iffy Melifamu. And if he does, that's good because Carlton Davis and Amik Amik Robinson are actually decent in man coverage. Go look it up. Just their man coverage snaps. They're good. Yes, we do. If he's got that swag by how he plays. He don't talk shit, he just does it. Brian Dawkins didn't develop swag till the last 3 years of his career. Brian Dawkins, for his first 8 years, was quiet and just let his play on the field talk. Justin Simmons chasing the bag too. Yep, that's absolutely true. And Dawkins became a beast those 3 years, but he was already a beast. Brian Dawkins, man, he was one of my favorite safeties ever. I don't care that he was a Philly Eagle. I love Brian Dawkins. Yes, that's the other thing. Davis the third, he had one hell of an interview at the podium yesterday, and he looks like he's just ready to be here. He's being embraced, and he's embracing us right from the rip. I'm not overhyping it though. I'm just saying he's better than what we had on the roster. And the same with Amik Robinson. We got 46 people watching. Where's those likes, people? Anthony Pittman to the Commanders. It was somebody I didn't care if he stayed or not. Oh, Sean Taylor was great. I loved watching him play. Don't get me wrong. I think we're either going to draft one or we're going to pick one up as a UDFA to challenge Michael Badgley. Because if they trusted Michael Badgley, we would have kicked more. That's all I got to say. Bob Sanders was your favorite, and Palomalu was another one that wasn't that vocal, you know. And Bob Sanders wasn't that vocal except at halftime and pregame and something like that. Right. Well, it's way better than what I wanted back in 1998. Just saying. 27th pick overall. You tell me what sounds better. Cornerback and punt returner Terry Fair out of Virginia, or wide receiver out of Marshall Randy Moss at 27 because he went pick 28. Ken Fisher, I'm curious about what your reaction to Scott. I'm curious of what your reactions to Scott Mitch's comments about the Lions when he played them, particularly about Barry Sanders. Scott Mitchell is a fat douchebag dickhead that I hate. Take a 5-year old up there wearing a lion shirt, ask him to sign it, and he says only for $100. I told him the same thing I told a hooker for 20. Suck my dick. And I do like that Western Michigan DN, Marshawn Nealon. Getting down to it, it takes the 29th pick to get Snead, and I'm doing it. It takes more than the 29th pick. You know why? Because we switched from the run and shoot. We lost our offensive coordinator. That's why we didn't run the run and shoot anymore. And Scott Mitchell Holt thinks Barry's the reason. Scott Mitchell is the reason we were held back after that one great season he had. Guys started throwing more picks than the cheeseburgers he'd eat between downs. and Snead would impact our salary cap so bad. We wouldn't even have enough for rookies. You know what we'd have to do? Trade out of the first, the second, and third rounds to be able to afford everybody. Oh yeah, Andre Ware was supposed to be the next big thing. Rodney Pete was supposed to be a big thing, which he didn't become a big thing till he left. Isaiah Thomas is a self-pompous ass. Get it right. He's been a complainer his entire career. David Cadillac, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. I like how things have progressed. Absolutely. Um, Everybody complains about this. They say it's bargain shopping. But you know what? Bargain shopping works if you're trying to build a team into a winner. Say what you want. The culture has switched in Detroit. People want to come here. People want to be here. The only ones that leave are the ones that can't handle having a mid contract. I'm quite sure they talked to Jonah first. Just a second. Yep, lifetime contracts are like I'm on Panay. You don't give a lifetime contract to somebody else's cast off. Think about it this way. Ladarius Need has been great. No, you don't understand. I love Orlando. This dog barks at everything. She's a cutie, don't get me wrong. I love Penny. Yeah, Scott Mitchell benefited from three of the best wide receiver groups. Fred Peterson, I couldn't have said it better. Snead isn't worth the money. More importantly, Snead isn't worth the potential of a first round pick. I agree. If that rumored trade that came across in the middle of the night, Monday night, as a third and a fifth, it's my mother's dog, so no. Sorry. It's Miss Penny. Ken Fisher, I said when we hired Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, I said, depending on how they draft, the earliest will be in playoff contention was 2023. And I think the earliest we win a Super Bowl is 2025 because we did overperform expectations. 10.5 was the over under prior to the season starting. It went to 11.5 halfway through preseason. Holmes doesn't fill my diapers. Dan Campbell does, but not Holmes. I said that's the reason why Dan Campbell was given 6 years. Think about the roster they inherited. How bad was the roster of the 2020 Detroit Lions? They had to gut so much off of it over those first 2 years. We had so much dead cap, we barely had. Gibbs didn't make me poop. No, because do you remember what happened 4 days before the draft? The report that came out on ESPN, NFL Network, and everywhere else. There was a report. 15 GMs ranked Jameer Gibbs better than Behan Robinson. Guess what? The 15 GMs were right. Flowers was still on the contract. Uh, Jelani Tavai. I remember when the reason why I fell in love with Dan Campbell was during his opening speech after the whole biting thing. Dan Campbell specifically said, "We've had Davis on this roster playing out of position. He's an outside linebacker, not a middle." He goes, "In the year we drafted Jelani Tavai in the second round, I may or may not have broken my tablet or laptop screen." That right there made me fall in love with him. And then he kept Jelani Tavai for a year. Well, you know what's crazy? Guess who made the Pro Bowl last year and he wasn't an alternate? Jelani Tavai. And he made the Pro Bowl with the team that should have drafted him in the fifth round in the first place, the Patriots. Matt Patricia loved him because he was still friends with Bill at that time. Remember, Bill gave us that 31-10 victory that made Patricia be able to keep his job the first year in Detroit. Say what you want. That game looked like it was, "There you go, buddy. It's your first win. You get to stay here now." Oh, yeah, it would have been an 8 or 9 win season. 100%. Gibbs, Laporta, and Campbell, you take those 3 away. Yeah. Campbell was our pick. So if we don't trade back and get Gibbs, we don't get Laporta. The pick the entire time, and I said it just prior to the draft. I said, at 6, if he's there, it's Devin Witherspoon. And I said this as we were going into the draft on my draft show. The pick will be Devin Witherspoon unless he goes first, and then watch, they're trading back. Brian Flores was successful, just Miami Dolphins owner was an idiot. Ken Fisher goes, "I remember that. That was a hell of a call." Because what happened? Within a minute of Devin Witherspoon going at 5, he traded back. I know, Andrew. I was one of the ones that talked you into Witherspoon. You were looking at this, that, or the other. I said, "It's Witherspoon." And I knew that Flores to be determined, but I agree. He looked miles better than anybody else that came out of the Belichick coaching tree, which is technically out of whose coaching tree? Rex Ryan. And if you want to go further back, he was a special teams coordinator for Gary Moeller. Nope. I think Bears are not gonna draft a quarterback early. In 15 years, that's it. I know, I know. But guess who was when he first went to the Browns under Rex Ryan that year, and then Rex Ryan went to New York. Oh, Carter's a head case. That's why we didn't get him. You remember when Dan Campbell was asked after the pro day about Jalen Carter? He goes, "Man, after talking to his teammates, it was eye opening." You know what they learned? He's a POS. I think they're trading their number 1 pick. 100%. Right. I mean, we traded for Jalen Duren. Ugh. We signed he but I'm gonna go there. I was a homer about it. When Trey Flowers was available and he was the best defensive end in football, that was a free agent that year, I wanted him. I didn't want him at the price we got him, but I wanted him. And you're right. The Lions are gonna be great regardless, because I'm giving the same window of wins as I did last year prior to the season. I'm saying it right now. We're a 10 to 13 win team. We're probably gonna fall at about 11. Yeah, Patricia screwed him up. Hey, I didn't even realize I've been talking for 50 minutes with you guys. It's great. I love talking football. I could do it all day long. If I didn't have a job to do, we can. There's a lot that has to go right. Yeah, remember we had Jalen Duran on the team? Right. That's why I said my window of wins is 10 wins to 13, and I still think 10 wins the North. We have a much harder schedule. I mean, who's the Duran we had? Jesus Christ. You know what I'm trying to say. I mean, that schedule's rough. I see splitting in the division possibly again, maybe in sweeping the Minnesota for 4-2. We got Seahawks at home again. That's never an easy win. We got Jacksonville Jaguars. That should be easy because Trevor Lawrence is mid. He's less than Goff. At Houston Texans, that's going to be a rough game. At Indianapolis, you don't know. At San Francisco, another rough game. At Dallas for the third year in a row. Buffalo Bills come in here. That's not an easy game. At Arizona, yeah, that should be a win. Los Angeles Rams come in here. They owe us one. They're going to play us tough. Tennessee Titans here. We'll win that. They don't have Derrick Henry anymore. There's a lot of tough games outside the division. I'm just being as real as I can about it. Keegan, when Patricia was here, who's the Duran that was a safety that we traded for in 2020? He was garbage. Okay, so we're going to lose to Kyler Murray, then, is what you're saying. We're going to lose to Chicago both times. Oh, wow. Sending prayers for UFC Mark Coleman fighting for his life after saving his parents from a house fire. And we did almost lose to Chicago both times last year, but we didn't. I expect us to split again. Green Bay got better, but there was a little bit of that garbage in, garbage out stuff as far as or talent in, talent out, I should say, not garbage in, garbage out. But at the same time, last year, Josh Jacobs averaged 3.5 yards per carry, about like Alex Madison, and they just lost a guy that averaged 4.6 yards per carry and 7.8. Duran Harmon. There we go. Thank you, Fisher. I knew it was a Duran. I mix up names every now and then. Ooh, I don't write stuff down. I'm flying off the seat of my pants. I'm not scared of Jacobs either. You know why? Because our defense held him in check. That guy couldn't do nothing in that Oakland game on that Monday night football game when we debuted those alternate helmets. Our run D is top five. The bad part is our passing defense is still 27th. So until we fix that, I hate it. Held his ass to 49 yards. We held a lot of great running backs down. Everybody said Behan was gonna run all over us. We held him to 26 yards. I think it was 46 total. Yeah, easier said than done, but you're absolutely right. It's time to end those losing streaks. It's time to end the losing streak at San Francisco. Hey, Anzalone was so bad in 2021 with his missed tackles. Guess what I say? You can ask anybody in this chat. My nickname for him was Anales because he was worse than Lube. He got our defense fucked. Totally switched it the next year and even remained better at it last year. His first year, he was 22% missed tackles. The next year, he dropped it all the way down to 16. Last year, he was under 10%. David Cadillac's laugh. I hated Anzalone the first year. You can ask anybody that's been with me the whole time. The Thanksgiving streak needs to be broken. Anzalone last year was absolutely great. Did he still dive at some running backs' ankles that cost us touchdowns? Yes. Does he need somebody more athletic to be able to clean up behind him when he misses those tackles? Yes. Does the whole team need to quit failing on the biggest stage we're on, where we're the only game on that year? Players called him dirty. Yeah, it's Justin Fields that called him dirty. Is that a player or is that a future janitor of the NFL? I'm still trying to figure that out. Everybody, you know, Jack Campbell sparked that flame for Anzalone. He sure did when he took over Barnes' spot and he started showing out a little bit. Do you remember there was a few games there where Jack Campbell had more tackles than Anzalone right when that switch happened? And thank God it happened. Because guess what? Derek Barnes is a Sam linebacker. Jack Campbell is a Mike or Will linebacker. It's where they belong he belongs in the middle. Derek Barnes belongs outside. Nah, Rodrigo. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the Thanksgiving Day game. The Thanksgiving Day game, we've been awful for years. Our last win was 2016 versus Minnesota. Yes, he did go through some family stuff. It was personal turmoil type stuff. It wasn't anything else. But we didn't find out till after the year because he didn't discuss it. He just focused on playing. Yeah, I'm talking about last year. Talking about last year. Anzalone played better last year than he did the year before. Rodrigo was getting so bad at linebacker, they made him a fullback. Come on, think about that. And that's a second round pick none of us are talking about. And I'm not talking about a fullback. I'm talking about a guy that can play fullback, that's a tight end, that's versatile. And he has all the traits. If you look at his RAS and everything, it's Sam Laporta 2.0, but can play fullback and blocks better. It's Ben Sinnott. But it is time for me to start getting ready for my job that I start here at 2 o'clock. So we're gonna get into our favorite stuff. Our first and favorite sponsor. No, it's not real. No, it doesn't pay me a dime, but we love to say it. Put it in the chat. It's FTP. Is it free the puppies? Is it flush the plunger? Flush the poopy? Who knows? Free tired politicians? Vote the other way this year? I don't. It's fuck the Packers. Fullbacks still play today. We used them actually more. The only teams that used them more than us have real fullbacks on their roster, and that was Kyle Juszczyk and Patrick Ricard. That would be the Ravens and the 49ers. So, yes, they are still used. And my other sponsor, the first one that ever paid me, Glas Negron, best window tender in Saginaw, 409 Hamilton Street in Saginaw. Give them a call, 989-443-9240. Check them out. Great pricing. Tell them Smoking Jeremy B sent you. Have him detail your car while he's at it. Get that swamp ass out of the seats. And last but not least, the one that pays me every day, plus pays me to have him do this commercial. At the corner of South Saginaw Grand Traverse, or South Grand Traverse Avenue and West Atherton Road. It's Brandon's Service. We have great tires at great prices. Our used tires start at 40 bucks. New tires, call this number 810-233-8230. Have us give you a quote over the phone and we will get your quote. And if you want the tires, get them in the next day. Mention that you heard this ad right here and you'll get 10 bucks off any set. It's been a pleasure talking with you gentlemen today. And as always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. LOL, Fred. That's what I did in the '70s with the Lions. Campbell could say play some fullback, so shoot him up and save cap space. Yep, Juice Check got a new deal with the 49ers, which is why they were trying to restructure people. They had to clear cap to resign the guys that keeps them there. Um, Much love to everybody. Thank you so much for being there. 35 watching, 12 likes. So you did get the likes up a little bit. React. If you don't like what I said, hit the angry button. If you thought I was funny, hit the laugh emoji. I don't care. We love to have the interaction, and I love talking with everybody. I try to be as interactive as a host as I can, whether I have somebody next to me, a guest. I love reading the chat. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. And for those of you that are in the rival fan base, I want to laugh at Cousin Jay because he said we're going to get a first and a third for Justin Fields. The best they got offered was a third or fourth round pick so far. They want to get him for a backup. Uh, if we sign him, I might do a short one after work today. No problem, Brent. But this has been Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B. I'm so happy to be here talking football with all you guys. I hope you all have the day you deserve. If you're a rival fan base, I hope karma comes and kicks you right in the nuts. It's been a great show. Had a lot of fun. Remember, Edie douche. Much better. I said to you, I like the douche. Oh, I love this quote here. by Graham Glasgow. I play video games. You don't want to end on a loss, right? You want to try and end on a win. Didn't think twice about resigning unless one was a break. God, I love that guy. Have a great day, everybody. There is no try, only do. You do well.